let's go ahead and get a little bit of subsurface scattering on this guy. And we're going to start that by changing out our shaders, because right now this shader doesn't recognize a transmissive channel. So what that means is if I go here to my texture settings, you're going to see this little plus sign. Right now our shader is looking at the base color, height, roughness, and metallic and normal and doing things to it to make it look correct on screen. However, as soon as we add a transmissive channel to that, and then we go back to our display, or sorry, viewer settings, and then we turn on, well, there's nothing for us to turn on. We need to be able to turn on transmissive to let it know that, hey, this is where we kind of want, as the shadows pass around our object, a little bit of color to show up. So what we have to do is go to Substance Share, and if you go to Shaders, there's going to be a lot of cool shaders in here, and the one you're going to look for is Subsurface Scattering. So go ahead and click on that, click Download, and where you're going to stick those is, let's go ahead and find it here, it's going to be C, Users, Your Name, Documents, Substance Painter 2 in this case, Shelf, Shaders, and you're just going to throw them in there, the GLSL files. So once you've done that, you might need to restart Painter. But once you've done that, you can go in here to the shader, and you're going to see in here PBR SSS, and then you can also see in here PBR SSS alpha blending if you do have areas that you have a alpha map so you can see through it. So you can do transparency. But we don't, so it's just going to do SSS. And that's going to update this with the new SSS shader, and nothing happens. However, if you look down here, you're going to see, hey, we have a transmissive map checkbox and a subdermal color. Now if you just do subdermal color, and we'll crank that up to bright red, it'll go ahead and start doing it for you. So it'll be like, oh, it looks, and it's just based on your geometry, it looks kind of gummy, right? Well, we want to be able to control that gummy. So I'm going to leave that there, and I'm going to check use transmissive map. And everything went away because it's using my transmissive net now. We have to show it what my transmissive map is. So what I'm going to do is add a fill layer. I'm going to turn everything else off but transmissive. And I'm going to go into my textures here and take our thickness map that we baked in Painter and drop that right on there. So now we have a transmissive map that's telling it where to go. Now, it looks like crap right now. It's probably not going to look great, but it certainly doesn't look good now because our tiling is set at 3. So drop that back down to 1. And now, wherever our map is, if you hover over this, you're going to see in the teeth area, it's black, and then in the other areas, it's white. Well, we need to go ahead and invert that. So let's see if I can even do that in here. Let's do add levels, and then we'll invert. Yeah, it doesn't do it. The reason why is because it's not going to be applied to your fill layer. What you have to do, and this is important, I'm going to right-click this, and I'm going to do a fill adjustment to this layer. So it's basically taking a fill layer and saying, hey, actually use this fill, because this feels a little bit more easy to kind of work with. So I can't do a levels to this one, but I can do a levels to this one. So this is where things get exciting. Again, I'm going to turn off everything but transmission. I'm going to drop my thickness map right into that transmission color, and now we have transmission. Now I need to invert this thing. So what I need to do is right-click, add a levels, and on here we're going to click invert, and it's still not going to do anything because I didn't have base color. So actually, it may have worked up here, but that's okay. I actually prefer to have it in here because I'm going to do even more stuff to this. So make sure your levels is set to transmissive, not base color by default. And now you can go in here and you can just change the contrast. Now obviously it's the opposite of what I want, so I'm going to do invert. And now I can kind of dial in, you know what, I just want the red to show up where I have very, very thin things. So it's taking your transmissive map that you baked out and going to the thinnest areas of your mesh and adding transmission there. Now, at any time, you can go in here and change your subdermal color. So if this is too intense for you, just drop it down in both either value or saturation or hue. You know, if you want a blue gummy look, then by all means go for it. I'm going to drop it down here to the reds, and then I'm just going to kind of darken it down a bit and kind of push it a little bit less saturated. So now when my light turns around, it's only going to those spots. Now, if you want to really dictate where this goes, right-click, add a paint. Now in this paint, make sure everything is off but transmission, and then there's your new transmissive color. So you can actually go in here and paint. If you want transmission, make that white, and then paint in. And I have a dirt brush applied, but you can do this anywhere. And if you want to kind of see, you can either move your light around, and even it'll pop even more if you turn on shadows. Like, oh, when the shadow crosses, you'll get transmission. So maybe I want that nostril to light up with some gummy skin. Let's go ahead and make our brush a little bit smaller. Or the opposite, if you change this back down to black here, and now you can go, you know what? I don't want that much on my nose. Now, of course, because we are able to stack these things, you can go ahead and throw a filter in here. And on this filter, first I'm going to select blur. And then I'm going to turn off everything but transmission. And now this blur intensity is only affecting that transmission map. You can do a warp, you can do sharpen, you can do another levels, all that stuff, however you want to do. But now as that shadow passes, and you can change that shadow quality. Right now, I think by default it's lightweight. Do that intensive. There we go. So really nice shadows, and you can go in here and change your subdermal color to make it pop a little bit more, or change the hue of it a little bit. Let's kind of dial that in. And of course, you can always go back in and paint where you want it, change the contrast on your transmissive map that is filled in here, and just go from there. So that was the most control I was able to get out of changing the transmissive map, along with bringing in that custom SSS shader.